Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today, our guest is publisher of Huntington Press and the Las Vegas Advisor, Anthony Curtis. Anthony, welcome back to Gambling with an Edge.
Thank you.
We're going to talk today about things going on in Vegas dealing with gambling. So the first thing maybe to talk about is masks. Do anybody wear them anymore?
No. Well, not much. It's this is the big news. You know, this has been a week now since the mandate was lifted in Nevada. We all kind of knew it was coming for a few reasons, just the signs were out there. But, you know, we get a lot of feedback from our readers, and it was getting to the point where people were just so sick of having to wear it. You know, they didn't want to come to Vegas to vacation and then have to wear masks. And we'd hear it over and over again that, you know, we're not coming back until we don't have to wear the masks. And when it was real quick, you know, I mean, there was no, the signs were there, but there was no real warning that the governor was going to lift the mandate, and he did. And I mean, in seconds, the word was out and people were ripping signs off the walls. I mean, you know, I ran out to see what was going on. Nobody's wearing masks all of a sudden. And it's a strange feeling here. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I'm out so often that I just got so used to it. And I'd go out and I'd walk into even a grocery store or something, and I just felt like I was doing something wrong, you know, because I didn't have the mask and I'm reaching into my pocket and I don't have it and that sort of thing. But it was a very big deal. The customers, the general public does not have to wear them in casinos, bars, restaurants. It's
unless there's a sign up by the owner of the establishment.
Correct. They all have the right to tell you that you must, but I have not seen it at a single place yet. Now, inside the casinos, the employees, it's different in different places. Some places the employees are made to wear them still. Some places they're not. Some places it's their option. So you actually see the employees, some of them wearing them and some don't. You know, so those that wear them are really worried that they think that it's valuable, so they wear them, and those that don't, or you know, they don't. But it's very interesting to see the differences in all the different places. But overwhelmingly, the customers are not wearing masks in the casinos. I can tell you that.
Which for the blackjack players, that's, you know, not a plus, because a lot of people were.
Well, you can.
Yeah, but from what I hear, there are so, like I saw something from one guy that I know who said he sort of went out and he, you know, to look around to see what was going on. And he said, like, none of the men were wearing them.
Right.
Maybe 30% of the women were wearing them. The occasional, you know, Asian was wearing it.
Yeah.
But
I think you could get away with, you know, if you wanted to wear a mask for anonymity, I still think that it's pretty easy play. I really do. I see enough people. When I say no one's wearing them, I mean like in the general populace, people walking around. I see a few more people at the tables wearing them than I do just walking around. So I think you could still get away. Now, the combination of wearing a mask and doing anything that looks suspicious now, that's going to come back on you a lot harder.
Yep.
But yeah, I have talked to people too that some people hated the masks. Even, you know, they thought it drew even more scrutiny. You know, guys, as we talked to people like Grosjean and all, who said he didn't like it because they were more likely to ask for ID or whatever, you know, for various reasons. And I've talked to both sides of that. But even those that were wearing them for purpose tell me that it's not as good now that the mandate is over. That's what I've been told.
I was in Arizona last week, just the Ak-Chin Casino just south of Phoenix, and masks are still required there. And that is definitely enforced. If you don't have a mask, they will come up and tell you to put one on.
Yeah, well, I don't know about all the jurisdictions all the way around the United States. I know that before Nevada lifted theirs last week, this state was one of only 9 that had a state mandate in the entire United States.
They definitely do not in Arizona have a state mandate. That must be a casino decision, because, you know, I was down in Tucson and nobody there was, you know, occasionally some people would wear them walking into a restaurant or whatever, but
yeah, I mean, you know, but I have not seen one. The casinos have the right; they can tell you that you got to wear them, but there's not one in Vegas that I know of that does that.
Agreed. All right, let's move on. The Horseshoe, everybody knows the Horseshoe is now called Binion's downtown. About to change. What do you know about that?
Well, it's still going to be Binion's. Binion's is going to remain downtown, but the Horseshoe brand is going to resurface. You know, as you say, now called Binion's. It's not called Binion's Horseshoe anymore. You know, we still refer to it. What do you say? Let's go to Binion's or let's go to the Horseshoe?
Yeah, I still say the Horseshoe.
Yeah, everybody does.
But that's not owned. So Caesars owns the name, right? And
Yes.
Binion's is not Caesars owned.
Yeah, Caesars bought the name Horseshoe. And at the same time, they bought the rights to the World Series of Poker, which is what they really wanted. And they've had this name Horseshoe for a long time that they've used in a few places around the country, but never in Vegas. But they are going to bring it back. And this is all a part of them moving the World Series of Poker from the Rio to the Strip. Because next year, there's no more World Series of Poker at the Rio after a long time. I mean, almost 20 years, I think, that they ran it at the Rio, at least 15. And it will now move to a combination of Bally's and Paris, but Bally's won't be Bally's. Bally's will be the Horseshoe. And that's what they're doing. They're changing the whole thing to try to bring back some luster to World Series of Poker. Now, they're also in their advertising and all, they're talking about bringing back old-fashioned Vegas and old-fashioned value. Yeah, right. Caesars on the Strip, right? Yeah. We're going to see $2 steak dinners, right? I don't think so. You know, $42 steak dinners. Here's our midnight special, $42 steak dinner. You know,
Yeah.
that's what I'm thinking. But you know, they're using that. They're using that. A little bit of leverage on that to try to promote it. But I don't think it's going to make one bit of difference. It is going to look kind of old timey from what I've seen. They've shown how they're going to rebrand it. There's going to be a lot of wood, that kind of thing, like the Horseshoe used to be.
Western theme.
Yeah, Western motif.
They can use blue $5 chips.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, right. That's what they did, didn't they?
Yeah, they had blue $5 chips, and they always had those string ties. The dealers had to wear those string ties. But so now Bally's, the company that manufactures slot machines, has bought the Tropicana, right?
No, that's not the same Bally's.
It's not?
No, that is formerly, I think it's a Delaware company. They were called, I can't remember, something River or something like that. And they took over the name Bally's. And this is owned by the really aggressive Korean businessman, Soo Kim.
Oh,
And
okay.
he's been buying things up all over the United States. And he bought the Tropicana here. And now it's opened up for them to use that Bally's name. I mean, that Bally's name is all over the place. And where the game maker fits in there, I don't know. But I don't think he owns that. He may be, but I don't think so.
No,
It
the
was
Bally
Twin River.
Game Maker is now part of Scientific Games.
Yes, that's what it is. So there really is no Bally's Game Maker anymore. And I think it was called Twin River Casino was the name of it out of the East. And then they took the name Bally's. And now they're probably going to move, the Horseshoe is going to move to Bally's, and Bally's is going to move to the Tropicana, and the Tropicana is going to move to who knows where.
Right. Back to Havana.
Hey, man, this is my job, and I can't keep it straight, with all these things.
And Bally's used to be the MGM, which moved down.
Yeah, which
next to the
is down,
Tropicana.
right, which is down across from the Tropicana, which is going to be Bally's.
Yeah, right.
Right? So you're going to have Bally's and the MGM right together again on Tropicana.
Right.
All right, try to follow that, folks. That's it.
The English Hotel.
Tomorrow from...
Well, actually, we're taping on President's Day, Monday, which is a couple days before this is posted. So it's Tuesday this week?
Okay, so we're 2/21, and tomorrow is 2/22/22. So that's the big day, right? So that's the big wedding day tomorrow, 2/22/22, where everybody's going to go get married because they want to, make it special. I don't think it makes a difference, but then
Says a confirmed bachelor.
yeah, you might not want to listen to my opinion when it comes to things like that. But so the English Hotel, which is a boutique hotel downtown that is being run leveraging the name of Todd English, who is a celebrity chef. He had Olives and Todd English Pub, and he's supposedly he's a very well thought of celebrity chef. He's going to have his own restaurant in there called Peppers, or Pepper, I think it's called. And it's going to be, it looks beautiful. I've seen it. It's downtown in the Arts District, but it's a non-gambling hotel. So they're not going to have a casino. Whether or not they'll have video poker remains to be seen. I'm guessing no. but we'll find out tomorrow. I'll check it out.
Is it on Main Street?
Yes, yes, it's on Main Street, and I'm not sure if that's the
North or south of Charleston?
It is north, just north of Charleston. So it's between Charleston and the plaza, downtown. Yeah, it's a beautiful place.
Right by the Gamblers Book Club.
Exactly, and people are, it's supposedly for people who don't want the busyness of a casino and all, and it looks really beautiful. I don't know what the numbers, what the prices are going to be, but it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the pitch when Alexis Park opened all those decades back, and people told them, you're insane to open a hotel with no casino.
And it's still there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that it's like, it doesn't look like it's a thriving place over there on Harmon, across from the old Hard Rock, across from Virgin now, but it's still there. It's been open all those years, right?
Yep.
So this will be interesting. The restaurant, they're touting it as, what do they call it? Something like Greek Japanese fusion or something like that, which is odd. I mean, grape leaf sushi or something. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it.
World Gaming Protection Conference is held every year in February, hosted by Willie Allison, who has been a guest on this show 2 or 3 times. So, Anthony, you were there last week. What can you tell us?
Well, that was a really an interesting experience for me. I had been there once before. Blair Rodman was invited when he wrote Kill Phil, and I was asked to be on with that. This time I was also invited by the grace of one of my authors being invited to be on, that being Arnold Snyder. They wanted us to talk about Radical Blackjack because of all of the kind of secrets and all in Radical. Now, remember, these are all eye in the sky guys. These are surveillance guys, game protection. That's what it's all about. And I came away with a lot of different feelings about things. One thing is, I don't know, Bob, how much video poker guys talk about it so much, but I know in the blackjack world, Richard, a lot of us are really kind of smug about how much more we know than they know, and that there's a bunch of dummies behind the wheel at these casinos. These are smart people. I mean, I spent a good amount of time. It was a 3-day conference, and I spent, a couple of days there and talked to quite a few people. They're smart. They know their stuff.
Well, these are the leaders of each casino. The rank and file members are, in a $15 an hour position.
Yep, good point.
They, I like my chances in knowing more about video poker than them.
Oh, I like your chances of knowing more about video poker than all those guys. But they are not, they don't live in a cave. We set up, you mentioned Willie Allison runs it. Willie does a great job. What a show. I mean, 300-400 people, something like that. And Willie does a great job putting it together. And he gave us a booth to put our books out. So people came over and talked to us. And so many of them said, yeah, I've got this one, told me about their libraries and this sort of thing. So these people are readers. A lot of them mentioned your podcast. A lot of them mentioned our YouTube show that we do, the Las Vegas Advisor YouTube show, where they're watching and listening. They're probably listening to this right now.
We want them on. We've had several, on the show, and we're always looking for more. I mean, so...
Well, it was a strange feeling because, I told a lot of them, I said, when they'd ask about it, I said, you'd be welcome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You
want to be on the show. But it was a strange feeling because, you can't help, you go up there to address them, and you can't help but think, how many of you have seen me before and I've not seen you?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Because they're looking down. And, I mean, there was a time several years ago where I was going out with a girl who was a casino manager, one of the few female casino managers ever. And she was a CM at Green Valley Ranch. And this was a good 15 years ago, maybe a little bit longer. And when I walked on, as soon as I walked into the place, my phone started going off. My phone went off about 10 minutes after I went into the place, and it was the girl going, so you're here, right? And I said, yeah. I says, she goes, 10 minutes ago? I go, yeah, how'd you know? She goes, 10 minutes ago, my phone just started going nuts, saying that I was on property, everyone calling her to say I was on property. So, you wonder how much they've seen of you, right? And you don't know who they are. Also, it was very interesting how much emphasis at the show, especially in the exhibit areas, was on cameras.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of emphasis on cameras, facial recognition, and ways and some of that stuff is extraordinarily sophisticated, as we all know. But until you actually see it, the way it can zoom in on you and the things that it can do is quite amazing.
Are you now a believer that facial recognition, the top end, is effective in casinos, or could be?
I'm still not. But, okay. Yeah, I answered too soon. Effective now could be, I think, yes, because they're throwing so much technology at it.
I think the thing that is the one thing in our favor is that the casinos don't want to spend the money to upgrade all the cameras.
Right.
Most of the casinos don't want to put the money into it.
Right.
So, but the technology, I believe, is there. I mean, certainly the military has the technology that's incredibly good.
Yeah.
But, are the casinos willing to spend the money? Now, if it's a brand new casino that's just opening and so they're buying a new system to start with, yeah, I would think it probably would work pretty well.
Like Circa.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe like Circa.
Depending on their budgets and things like that. But, there's other things, too. I mean,
especially, sorry to cut you off,
right.
but especially Circa, where they are scanning every single person's ID at the door. One of the difficult things for the facial recognition is their database needs a clean shot of you, a good face shot of you, which most places don't have. But if they scan your ID, well, now they do have a good shot.
Well, they're
of your
scanning
face.
the back of the ID. There's
There's
this
a barcode.
barcode back there. Does that include is your picture in that barcode? I mean, your picture's on the front.
Right.
But
they don't scan the front. They scan the back. But I got a
Right.
feeling that if you scan that barcode, if you had proper access, you probably see the front of the ID.
Yeah.
So you see them because they want to know the names. I mean, I was told in the beginning, I don't know how much this is true, but I was told in the beginning that a lot of it was to protect against riffraff and stuff when trouble would start inside. Now, maybe that's part of it. But yeah, I'd be naive if I was saying that's all it is. They're all, that's all there is to it. But I'll tell you another thing. I mean, almost I felt like I was behind enemy lines a little bit, in a way we're not supposed to be, seeing some of these things. There was one company there that was doing something that I hadn't heard of before. And basically it had to do with their belief that a lot of people who are running scams of all sorts. And let me make a point. Another thing I found out while I was there was that they're not that worried about advantage players so much. They kind of are, but really their main focus is against the strong arm, thieves and cheaters and people who steal.
And employees.
Yeah, and employees.
Well,
absolutely.
Willie Allison came out with that list of the top 10 gambling scams of the century, and then there was a separate article that was the top 5, and I think 4 out of the 5, or at least 3 out of the 5, were employees ripping off the casino.
Yeah.
I think it was 4 out of 5, and one was playing asymmetrical cards, which to me is not even a scam.
Right, that's the edge sorted.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so listen to this one. I mean, one company was bragging to me. They were a camera company, and they were showing me things, and they go, but here's the other thing we're doing, and it had to do with your cell phone. And it was a belief that everybody, a lot of these scams were based on communication with cell phone. So in a nutshell, and I didn't get all the information, but the idea is that they would make it so your cell phone, you would block your cell phone signal and force you to use the Wi-Fi of the casino. Once you use that Wi-Fi, they were able to infiltrate your phone.
Wow.
And I don't
know
how
can that be legal?
I don't know if it can be legal at all, but they seem to be very proud of it. And, they could basically tell what apps you have on. I don't know how far they can go into it, and I don't know if it could be legal or not. But, that's how far they're going in different directions to, protect their games.
Wow.
Yeah, kind of a little spooky, huh?
Now, Anthony, you've been on television for some number of thousands of hours. And so it can't be that scary to be up in front of a bunch of surveillance guys. But Arnold Snyder hasn't been on television, and he has been doing rather big plays.
Well, but not for decades, right?
For a long time,
Definitely less than decades.
15 years, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, scary is, that's one thing. And spooky is another. It is more spooky than scary to talk to this group. And then I made a joke right off the bat and nobody laughed. I said, oh boy, this audience, that sort of thing. I had about 2 or 3 other things in the list that I was going to make a joke. I just went right by it. I was like, never. I'm not even going to try. But Arnold is, you guys know Arnold. Arnold likes to talk.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
I don't mean he likes to talk out of school. I don't mean Arnold gives things up that he shouldn't. I just mean Arnold likes to say the same thing 2 or 3 times in a row. So he didn't have any problem with it.
Did you guys do some kind of panel discussion or something?
Yeah, it was kind of like what they call the fireside. They call it a fireside. So it was just the 2 of us sitting up there in easy chairs. And really my job was simply to, I had 2 jobs. One was to introduce him, and 2 was, believe it or not, to stop him from talking, because we wouldn't have gotten anything done. So I would
Good luck with that.
Yeah, I'd jump in there and go, okay, next, that sort of thing. But it was, it could have been a lot better than it was. Our thing could have been a lot better than it was. There should have been some really specific questions that were tailored to the audience. As it was, it kind of meandered and it went, it kind of went all over the place.
I know when Colin Jones did it one year, and I know he kind of gave them the party line that you shouldn't be worried about card counters, and if you dealt deeper penetration, you'd get more hands per hour and all those kind of things. Was that sort of the gist of it?
Not really. I mean, we didn't go that direction, but I'll tell you what, I've seen that go down in other talks. They're pretty set in their ways. They got their feelings about how it's supposed to be done. And they, you hear them talk amongst one another. That was the coolest thing about this, is hearing them talk amongst one another. And they have a very broad range of what they want to do in terms of their protection protocols. And some will say, yeah, I really think you need, they'll take the Bill Zender approach. You should be dealing fast. You should be dealing down. You should be dealing deep, everything like that. And others are like, absolutely not. We simply will not do it. I mean, one of the big discussions was about stadium games. There's a lot of funny things going on with stadium games right now that people are, the casinos are starting to think that they're not all that and that they are vulnerable to things. The Orleans I was just told the Orleans has taken out all of their stadium games.
Wow.
They had a gigantic area, man. They had a big area with these big stadium games. For people who don't know, stadium is when everybody sits in chairs. That's why they call it stadium, facing one big screen. They have one dealer dealing cards that goes up on the screen, and they use push buttons to put in their bets and to put in their plays and everything else. And for some reason, there's some problems with that. And there was a game, I didn't sit in on all of the things, I didn't get all the details of it, but there's it's not quite a stadium game, but it's a hybrid, as they call it. A game called, what's it called? It's a crap game called, I can't remember what it's called, but Roll to Win or something like that. And they were in all of the Caesar's Palace places. And you don't use chips on this game, but you roll like oversized dice. And then one dealer punches in the bets of the players, or no, the results, right? And there are all kinds of things with that person being distracted and a guy punching in the results, and then it pays immediately, and they all go scattering and running, all the way to sliding these big dice. Supposedly there's an area of the thing that doesn't have any what they call speed bumps, and they slide them down the side and have all these problems with everybody coming in and taking shots at them every time they try to do a machine hybrid. So it was fascinating to hear all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was, and like I said,
I think those stadium games are going to proliferate. Maybe not the craps one, especially that where you're letting them handle the dice or things like that. But when you can have one employee and 60 people playing baccarat,
yep.
Casinos hate paying employees and health insurance and workman's comp and all that stuff.
Yeah, that game's almost never dead. There's almost always somebody sitting on it, right? And sometimes it's absolutely full. So yes, it was picking up steam all over the place. But really the theme of that was that, okay, everybody slow down a little bit on the stadium games, because they're just somehow, in too many ways, they've had problems with them. And a lot of it's just the technology of it. They break down. Are you getting good support from the companies that you buy them from? Yes, no, that kind of business. So I think we are going to see sort of this change in general, where there will be more of these eventually when they get the bugs worked out of it, because as you say, they love not paying too many people. They're number one for them is reducing their payroll. I mean, that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
And they're making money, they're doing better per person, and then they look and they go, and our payroll's down.
Right.
And so we don't have the expenses that we had before. One last thing I'll say real quick too, a lot of magic at that show. A lot of magic, man. There's a lot of crossover between magic and game protection. And one of the coolest guys there, he did a presentation called Richard Turner. You heard of him?
Oh God, yeah, he's blind.
Yeah.
He's amazing.
And he did an incredible thing. First of all, it was like an uplifting thing. It was like, he's talking about, he says, play the hand you're dealt. Well, he's blind, right? So he's blind and he can do all these. He's one of the greatest card manipulation guys ever. Well, for some reason, he came over and started talking to me. And I got to talk to the guy for about an hour. And everybody wanted to talk to him. And he's sitting and talking to me, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, what an amazing dude. I mean,
so
just
there's
incredible.
a documentary that was on Netflix. It was my recommended like a year ago. And I mean, you don't realize the guy is blind until like 10 or 15 minutes into this thing. And he's phenomenal with cards.
Well, he said during his discussion and also talking to me, he elaborated a little bit. He says he doesn't see darkness. He sees lights of all different kinds. And he says he's got a brain that works in a very strange way. That's what he said. He's got a brain that works in a way that's been studied by lots of different people. And he's blind, but he can see almost in a different way. And when he first came up and talked to me, I didn't know it was him. I had no idea he was blind. He was looking right at me. He was talking to me. It looked like he was reacting off of me. I didn't know he was blind. And apparently he's like one of the fastest guys to just have Penn and Teller in their show. What was it, Fool Me?
Yeah.
Give up and go, we don't know. He's just that good. And he ends his show with a 3-card Monty thing. And I'm like, 3-card Monty? After all this, you're going to do 3-card Monty that any street hustler can do? It was ridiculous what he was doing. That stuff he was doing, giving the cards to other people and everything else, and it's disappearing before your eyes. It was really something.
Huh.
All right. We're going to take a brief commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about a player from Arizona who went home thinking he'd lost some money, and he got a call the next week that he'd actually won almost $250,000. So we're going to hear about that. The South Point has more than 10,000 games, returning more than 99%. This is more such games than anyone else has. Throughout February, the $500,000 plus Crazy Cupid's Money Madness will have 2 casino-wide promotions running at all times. The larger promotion, which starts at $10,000 and must be hit by $25,000, gives all active players $25 in free play when the jackpot is hit. Smaller promotion, which starts at $1,000 and must be hit by $2,500, is scheduled to be hit approximately 3 times a day. Once hit, these progressives will immediately start over again and continue to do so until they are hit after 3 a.m. on March 1st. To be eligible for both promotions, players must have played $1 and coin in the previous minute. On the website, southpointcasino.com/promotions, the current level of the bigger jackpot is updated in real time. So if a $20,000 jackpot level is more interesting to you than $11,000 jackpot level, and for most of us it would be, you can find out the information before you decide whether or not to go to the casino.
Hey guys, this is Colin from blackjackapprenticeship.com, and if you're serious about card counting, I'd encourage you to check out the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership. It has the training tools you'll need to beat the game, like our comprehensive video course and our training suite, so you can learn each skill and virtually test yourself before ever stepping foot in a casino. It also includes the tools you'll need to succeed, like our pro betting software, casino database, results tracking software, and access to a community of like-minded Advantage players to network with in our members forum and chat room software. You can find out more at blackjackapprenticeship.com.
The game of the week is Good Times Pay. This ranges from 6 to 10 coins per line, random multipliers, but it's always 100% bonus. The South Point, the best game they have is quarter triple play NSU Deuces, which is a 99.7 game, which is even money with the slot club, plus promotion, plus mailers, plus whatever else. It's $7.50 per play. I sometimes play that game while I'm waiting for a nearby machine to open up. All right, we're back talking with Anthony Curtis. this slot player hit a big jackpot but didn't know it. What happened?
Apparently, I'm not sure what he was playing, and he was playing slots. He wasn't playing video poker, so there was a big jackpot, one of these, big, I don't know if it was connected or what it was, but it paid a $230,000 top jackpot. He hit it and didn't know, because I guess the machine didn't lock up and no bells and whistles went off and nothing happened. It just said, okay, play the next game. It might have said jackpot or something, but somehow he didn't notice it and literally left the money on the machine and walked out of the casino because he wasn't staying there. Was that Treasure Island, was it? Yeah, it was at Treasure Island. And he was staying somewhere else, and he left. And I guess he was going home that night, and he flew home.
But the machine did lock up.
It did lock up? Maybe it did lock up, and he was like...
It did lock up, but he didn't know what it was. He goes, well, screw this.
Oh, is that what it was? It didn't lock up. And he just said, I can't play anymore. So he walked away.
Yeah, he thought he was out of money.
And he did not have a player's card. No, he did not. Because they went through quite an extensive search to try to figure out who the guy was.
Well, yeah. Well, they made a big deal about what they did to find him. I mean, all the way going down to interviewing Uber and Lyft to see who might have brought him there. And they finally pinpointed who the guy was. This was, okay, so let's look at what happened here. The casino itself made the move to call gaming and gaming control got involved. So a lot of people are going, well, that's pretty cool. The casino could have just locked that money up. I think that would have been pretty hard to do somehow with the accounting. But anyway, they did the right thing. They called gaming. Gaming did the right thing. They went through an extensive search, and they found the guy.
Yeah, I guess they were able to find video of him going out and getting an Uber, and then they had to go through Uber and find out the credit card the guy used, which is a little bit scary. Yeah. But yeah, they did go to great lengths to find the guy and actually pay him his money.
So that's gaming. Gaming did what they were supposed to do, which kind of leads to the bigger discussion. Well, you say they called him up, told him he thought they were BSing him, and all that. They finally talked him into it, and he was willing to fly back and get it.
Take a chance.
The $230,000. But I mean, this kind of morphs into the whole discussion about gaming, good or bad. And here's the irony of this. I've always supported gaming control and enforcement. I've had, over the years I've played, I've probably had half a dozen issues where I've had to call gaming in. And they've always been very good to me. A lot of people have said, no, they're in the pockets of the casinos. They're never going to take your side. And I've always had them take my side until last week. I had a problem last week that had to do with, our member rewards book and people abusing our coupons. And I tried to get gaming involved because, after all, they're defrauding the casinos when they're, breaking our rules. And they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I was like, I just defended you.
Yeah, I mean, there are just, there are good cops and bad cops. Right. And unfortunately, we hear a lot of the bad stories, where basically the agents that just don't know the law and do things that are just wrong.
Yeah, I've always felt, this goes back to what I said earlier about us having a too low of an opinion of some of these surveillance guys. I've always felt that a lot of people in our business are a little too uppity and a little too snobbish about how good we are and how smart we are and how bad everybody else is. You know what I mean? Mm. So I've always defended gaming because they've come in some really prickly situations with me and taken my side. I mean, against, this is in tournament plays, like when they'll set you on a table to eliminate you on purpose, literally put one of their own players on the table. I mean, I've had them get in trouble for doing that, when I've brought it to gaming's attention. So I've always supported them. But like you say, there's good and bad, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, if we had Bob Nersessian on, he could give you a list as long as your arm of all the...
Oh, yeah, Bob would not take that. Yeah, I know. He wouldn't take that position, that's for sure.
You mentioned people abusing your member rewards book. When I first moved to Vegas...
oh, boy, here it comes.
No, you didn't have the...
No, it wasn't a member rewards book, but it's like...
Free.
Stardust would have... these coupon books, and I'd find a way to, one per person per day, and I'd find a way to do 10 or 15 a day, right, at the Stardust, at the Riviera, at the Circus had them, and so you could generate the coupons, and so it's like, as far as I was concerned, this was fair game. They each said...
That's different than counterfeiting the coupons, though. Or,
that is different than
Or did you go and Xerox them?
I did not Xerox them. I didn't have to. I flew on Southwest Airlines from Los Angeles some of the time, and they would have a coupon for a coupon book within the in-flight magazine. And so on the first of the month, I would go and say a friend was limited, was mentioned in an article, and if you have any unclaimed boxes of these coupon books, that aren't good to you anymore, not of the coupon books, but of the magazine. So they gave me a box of 200 magazines that were worthless to them.
They never know. One of the first really good ones I got was at the old marina, where the MGM Grand now stands on top of where the marina was. And I met a guy who was in PR. I had just started the Advisor, and he wanted to do something to make a splash, PR and marketing. And he said he wanted to give me some coupons to put in the magazine. Back then, we bound them in. We didn't even have a book. And he gave me a list of things he wanted to do that were just stupid. They were just stupid. I mean, it was things like bar 5 in the field and, just stuff that was giving the player 14, 15% edges. Max bet. And
wow.
I told him, I said, this is not going to last. I go, people are you're going to get taken advantage of. This is way back, man. This is 30 years ago. I go, people are going to take advantage of you. He goes, no. He laughed at me. He laughed. Haha, that's funny. He goes, no. This is great. This is really good. It'll bring people in. I go, oh, it'll bring people in. Don't worry. So I thought about it, and I'm like, I'm a real straight arrow in this stuff. I really am. But I thought about it, and I said, hell with this. There's no way this is going to last. And at that time, I was still playing. I was just getting the Advisor going, and I was playing with Alan Brown and that group and all that. So I called them all together. I said, look, guys, someone's going to kill it. Let's kill it. Let's kill my own deal. Right. So we did. And we went in on shifts. And there was also, he said they can play as many as they want. So I'm sitting there playing at the field, play after play after play with a 14, 15% edge. And then one dealer looks up at me and goes, what do you do? Print these? I was like, kind of.
Actually.
So sure enough, I played a few. I didn't want to overdo it. Then the next person came. In the middle of the night, I'd given a guy, we didn't have cell phones back then. I give him my home number. I go, in case you have trouble, because there's going to be trouble. He wakes me up in the middle of the night. He goes, it happened just the way you said it would. I was like, really? Okay. So, yeah, I did that. But I asked him, and I warned him, and I told him, and I did everything in my power to stop him from doing it. And I was like, well, I'm not going to let the guy down the street do it. I'm going to do it. So that was it. Just the way you said it would.
There was once Silverton was strongly considering on May 5th, 5-5 to, if you bet the 5 straight up on craps, you'd get 5 times pay.
Nice. Nice.
So, anyway, good. Arizona Charlies. They had full pay games a while ago. They took them out, and are they back?
It's my understanding. I haven't confirmed it, but I've got pretty good information saying that they're back. This is for 25 cents and 50 cents only, which is, in my opinion, the way to go. Keep these dancer guys out of there. You don't want to play for 50 cents, right? And that's at Arizona Charlie's Decatur.
When you're desperate.
And at Arizona Charlie's Boulder, it's quarters only. But the list I've got is full pay deuces, 100.76. Kings are better, Joker Wild with 20 for 4 of a kind, 100.65. 10-7 double bonus, 100.17. 10-6 double bonus, the version that pays 100.07. And then just several games in the mid to high 90s, with jacks are better in 10th place at 99.54. I'm always looking for places for people who want to play low stakes. And I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if they don't give you any club points on that or whatever.
They give you, previously last year they gave you half club points,
All right. So there's a lot of people that, they're not going to
which were 0.05. So now it's,
Yeah.
Yeah, but for grinders, they can probably go there and get a free hotel room and meal and stuff like that. And,
For grinders, as long as they can last, because they'll get kicked out too eventually. I mean, I think even at these stakes, they get mad. But what about people who vacation?
that's
people
what I
that
mean.
wanna
Yeah.
come-
I mean,
you
yeah,
know,
people who vacation cheaply. And, yeah.
And they want to come here and they want to play full pay deuces. And they've studied that game like crazy, and they know how to play it, and they want to play a good game, and they want a shot at hitting a royal and, making their
The
bankroll
Joker
last.
poker's probably the good one for the casino because, it's a harder game, I think, for most people to play. And,
for everybody, it's a much tougher game.
yeah, and they probably make errors and probably are
They
not
will.
playing at 100%.
The way the casinos are tightening up right now, we've talked about this in the past, and it is just, it's really nasty. I mean, I've heard that you can't even find anything but a 000 roulette table in Venetian or Palazzo. And, and places that I've seen with good schedules that are tightening up, even at low levels, I really like to give credit to places that do this. And so that's, Arizona Charlie's both. I'm going to confirm before the next LVA that they're actually there. I'll go to at least one of them.
By the way, to that point, I saw an article a couple of weeks ago about the leading money-winning table games in Las Vegas, and Baccarat, of course, was number one, but number two was roulette. I mean, people are playing that stupid 000 game.
Well, it's more, that, and it's roulette seems to appeal to. I've noticed this ever since the hipster movement, came with all the kids thinking is the new cool thing to do. Is that the clubs are what brought the kids, right? So when the clubs started. And what do they do before and after? I find they really gravitate to roulette.
Yep.
I look at the roulette tables outside of the clubs. They're jammed. They're absolutely jammed. These kids, for some reason, they think roulette is cool. I think it's just that they don't know anything about it, and it's the easiest game for them to play. I think that's what it is.
Well, and they like the big payoff.
Yeah. Well, that's
35 to
right.
1. And,
right. But they somehow they think it's suave. They think it's cool. They sit there with their cigars and their whiskey, and and they're like cool 24-year-olds. Like I never was. I was 24, but I wasn't cool.
Now, in Las Vegas Advisor, there's a lot of questions to the editor. I know some of them get forwarded to me on the question of the day on Video Poker, but what questions do you get the most, Anthony?
Well, you mentioned question of the day. We've been doing that every day for 17 years, 16, 17 years. I mean, just thousands upon thousands of questions of the day. And we go to, our authors sometimes as experts and all, but there are certain questions we get all the time that don't go into question of the day because they're essentially unanswerable. One of them, I'm not just saying this, what's Bob Dancer like? I'm not kidding. I mean, we do get a lot of people say, do you know Bob Dancer? Yeah, we know Bob Dancer. What's he like? I go, picture a robot with a big smile, and then there you go. But here's the one we always get asked. Of course, where's the best place to play? Meaning, where can I win? And that's just, you can't answer that question. You know what I mean? It's just, you just can't, because there's how many questions do you have leading up to that? Well, what do you like to play? Or what is your bankroll? And what is, what's your skill level? And on and on and on. You're playing for comps. You're playing for, for profit. What, you just cannot answer that. But they all want the magic pill. They want to know where. How would you answer that? I can't answer that.
You know what? I mean, if you just are talking about House Edge, I would say probably South Point. Or maybe El Cortez.
I'll be honest with you. I do.
El Cortez formally.
Yeah, well, El Cortez is they're getting tighty.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit. Yeah, a little bit. I mean, that's El Cortez. This issue of the LVA, I wrote about it. I went and I got not just on the games, I saw a hot dog cart. All right. I see a hot dog cart. That's a must. That's an insta buy. I got to check it out. So I don't look at the price. I just say, give me a hot dog. They give me this little hot dog, right? This little hot dog. I'm like, okay. So I reach for $1, $4. $4 for this hot dog, right? And I go, that's lousy, So I'm gonna go around and get a Bud at least, $6.
Wow.
Or a Budweiser downtown.
But do they still have 3-2 single deck?
They do.
Yeah.
They still do. And,
Still watch it like a hawk.
But it's just, I said the irony of that is that when I first came to town, so I said, okay, so that's $10 for a beer and a dog. I give $1 to each person. It's not their fault, right? $12 for a beer and a dog. When I first came to town, you could get double lobster tail dinner in Roberta's for $9.99 and have $2 left over, right? I'm like, wow, have these things ever changed? But I do. When it has to come down to one, I go, look, if I had to pick one place to say where you get a really square deal on gambling, I tell them South Point. I do.
Even if you just want a hot dog, because they have a hot dog cart for, I think it's $1.25 now.
$1.25. It's in our top 10. It's one of the greatest deals in Vegas. South Point has 2. They're the only casino with 2 in our top 10. The other one being they've got the best buffet deal in town. They just raised the price to $10.99 for breakfast with the club card, but $10.99 for a breakfast with unlimited Bloody Marys. I mean, it's in our top 3 in terms of deals in town. So, that's good. Another question we get is...
in case you want to be blitzed at 8 in the morning, this is the best place to do it.
Sometimes I do on Sundays. But they ask a lot about minimums. Where can I find...
Well, that would not be in effect on Sundays. They have a brunch on Sunday, which is considerably more than the $10.95.
Yeah, that's true. But they want to know about minimums.
Yeah.
That's always a question. And, that the easy answer there is, look, don't play play during the week, not the weekends. Play during the day, not the evenings. Play downtown, not on the strip. That's basically what it boils down to, even though minimums are going up everywhere. And the other question they ask all the time is, what's going to happen what are the new operators going to do? I don't know. I don't know what the new operator is going to do. What's San Manuel going to do at Palms? Are they going to be loose like they kind of are in California? Or, what are the Seminoles going to do at the Mirage? I thought that what they did before is what they would do here, but I can give you examples like Murillo. Murillo came down from Reno, took over the Sahara, and I'm like, great, we're going to have a Reno. This is what the Sahara has always needed. Something that will appeal to middle rollers and low rollers and the locals. And I'll be damned if they didn't just become a strip casino. Nothing that they do in Reno at their places in Reno do they do here at the Sahara. So you never know. Once the strip gets a hold of them, you never know what they're going to do. But those are the kind of questions we get. Always that kind of, what's the magic pill? How do I win? Where do I go? That kind of thing.
All right. At the end of our show, we have a recommended section. So, Richard, do you have a recommended for our audience today?
Yeah, I just binged a limited series on Netflix called Inventing Anna. And it's the true story of this girl, Anna Sorokin, who basically was a con woman who convinced a bunch of hedge fund guys, she got very close to them giving her $60 million. And fooled a lot of people in the art world and the glitterati in New York. And anyway, it's really well done. True story. Yeah.
How long's the series?
They're 9 episodes. So
hour long?
Hour long. It's Shonda Rhimes, who did, Grey's Anatomy and How to Get Away with Murder and a number of popular shows. So
see, isn't that interesting? What I said earlier, the connection at the World Gaming Protection and Magic, right? Like between con artists and APs, right? So much of the same sort of thing going on to different degrees of being good and bad.
Well, certainly APs. I know a lot of APs who've been conned, myself included.
Well, the other way, that too. But I'm leading into. We just got the manuscript turned in for a book from Michael Kaplan, who's written for Cigar Aficionado, and he writes for the New York Post.
He's been on this show a couple times.
Yeah, and Michael, it's all about advantage play and the things that he's seen and done. And what's interesting, and through the book, he submitted it to us, and we didn't like the way he submitted it. We said, we want a thread running through this about why each of these are advantage play. And they're not all gambling. Some are other things too. And there's that crossover, but there's always that thread of advantage play going all the way through it. And it's pretty cool. We're reading it now and, making some changes and adjustments. But it's going to be an interesting one that we're going to try to bring out this year.
Very good. My recommended is a 2011 film called The Artist. It's a French film, all black and white, mostly silent. The story concerns a swashbuckling silent movie star, Georges Valentine, played by Jean Dujardin. Forgive me, Jean, if I butcher your name. Wait till I get to your co-star. Who in 1929 accidentally runs into an ingenue, Pepe Miller, played by Berenice Bejo. He sees her dancing and insists on having her in her next film, much to the displeasure of the movie boss, played over the top by John Goodman. Miller's attracted to Valentine, but sees that he's married, and so she steps aside. As time passes, silence go out of style. Valentine becomes a has-been, and Miller becomes a star. Valentine's life goes to hell, and Miller tries to save him. Mixed results. Throughout the movie is an extremely charming dog. If they had an Academy Award for best canine, this movie would have taken that one. I think it was nominated for 9 awards and got 5 of them, including best actor, which there was some pushback later that Dujardin did not deserve best actor, but it was interesting. It's on Netflix.
It sounds like the 5th iteration of A Star Is Born.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah. It was a good movie. I saw it. Very good movie. Yeah.
All right, so here's mine. I just came from the launch of a new restaurant app. It's called Neon Feast. You can learn about it at neonfeast.com. What it is it sort of grew out of the book that we did for a long time called Eating Las Vegas. Eating Las Vegas began when one of the original authors, Al Mancini, came to me and said, let's do this book and we'll have 3 of us going back and forth, making our recommendations, and that's how Eating Las Vegas started. Max Jacobson was one of the authors. The other was John Curtis. Those were the 3. Max Jacobson got hurt after a few editions. He got hit by a truck, and he was unable to continue. Al fell out, and it was only John Curtis for a while, and John decided in 1920 that he didn't have the time. 2020, and to do Eating Las Vegas. So we've been devoid of that book, going into the pandemic and all. Well, in the meantime, Al Mancini, the original idea guy, came up with the idea of doing something similar online with an app. And he put it together. It's called Neon Feast. And I was there at the launch today. It looks really cool. They had, he sent out an enormous questionnaire to about 75 different people that are in the business. I was one of them, who checks out restaurants and things. It was the longest survey I've ever seen. It just went on and on and on, but it asked about so many different categories. And, I stayed, I didn't talk about things I didn't know. I talked about the things that I know, the places I go. And ostensibly, that's what the others do in there. So this app has a lot of information about bunches of different places that are recommended by experts who are in the business. And it's neonfeast.com. You can get information about it.
And is the app out? Can you get it on your phone
You can
now?
download it right now. They
Great.
just released it. It looks good, and it makes sense. You don't need to put this stuff in a book. It should be online. In fact, when we talked about continuing or not with Eating Las Vegas, that's what we saw. We said this should be online. This shouldn't be a book. So, but
most apps, there's one flat fee, and it's not a recurring charge. And
nope, this is a free download. And the restaurants are able to be in it for free. They don't have to pay to be in it. So there's no favoritism as far as that goes. They make their monetization will be through higher level advertising that they accept from the bigger places. That if the app gets tread, then it will be an advertising vehicle, and that's their plan. So it's absolutely 100% free to the public, downloadable, probably from the App Store at Apple and those things, same places.
Cool.
Oh, good.
We'll put a link to it in the show notes.
Very good. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.